Final chapter. We're not going to get any, like, narration. Okay, we're going right into it. This is a remix. Or a variation or something. She flipped us out of habit. Put Susato in Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Lord Van Zeeks. His face says I hate you, but his words are romantic. Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper. Susato in Marvel vs. Capcom would be hype. Agreed. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? I'm not sure that was the sole reason. Oh, of course, the portrait is his brother. That makes sense. I never thought I'd say this, but I can see it in your eyes. You love me. That burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You are a lawyer of absolute integrity, and you're super hot. Thank you. Now tell me, why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? One of my special blends. He's going to shatter the glass. Don't give it to him. I'd like to cheer you on, obviously, but I've got lots to get ready. Would you take this? The Blue Badger? If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. Seems like she might have a crucial piece of evidence. A certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. He was out all night and he hadn't come home by the time I left this morning. Well, the three of them are just having a friend reunion. Nothing weird there. Lord Van Zeeks. The Final Reckoning. Hey, anybody remember Soseki? Wonder what he's up to these days. Can't believe he's going to be the killer. After everything we've been through. It feels even more oppressive in here than it did yesterday. Lord Strongheart. That's not fair. This court's rigged against me. Now the judge is on the prosecutor's side, too. The ramifications of this trial now extend far beyond the murder of one Scotland Yard inspector. He looks so rectangular. So, Strongheart thinks he can get away with it by just posing as the judge. Brilliant. I miss the Santa Claus judge. Bring him back. Whoa. The rarely seen judge standing camera. Heart Vortex will exercise total and unequivocal authority over this trial. He controls the votes. The best part of this trial has been the lack of jury. Agreed. On a personal note, I find this most distressing, Lord Van Zieks. You were my #1 man. Wow, he brings up the brother right away to strike at the heart. Van Zieks counters with a series of ellipses. That was an interesting gavel sound. And interesting looking gavel. Wow, he's so serious. Yesterday's proceedings brought to light a shocking and disturbing fact. There was a side to the victim, Inspector Tobias Gregson, that was unknown to his superiors at Scotland Yard. He was carrying out operations in secret which Scotland Yard knew nothing about. He had an accomplice, Daily Vigil. Gregson appeared to be carrying out his regular Scotland Yard work when in fact he wasn't. And at the end of yesterday's session, Mr. Vigil, who had been suffering from amnesia, regained his memory. Amazing. While he was engaged as chief warder at Barclay Prison, he abetted the convict's escape. He's formally admitted to posing as Gregson while investigating the Red-Headed League. Which brings us to the crucial issue of the victim's time of death. The defense yesterday proposed a suggestion that the victim may have been killed 1 day earlier. This was based largely on the discovery that the victim's pocket watch had not been wound. The prosecution has something to report on that subject. Uh-oh, here we go. Really? We met once again with the coroner yesterday to discuss the issue. She confirmed that the defense's suggestion could not be ruled out. It's entirely possible that Gregson was killed on 31st October, the day before his body was discovered. I have updated the autopsy report. But the official opinion of the investigation team was made clear yesterday, that the time of death was 5 p.m. on 1st November. There are indications of an attempt to disguise the real time of death, however. It seems the natural decaying process of the victim's body may have been slowed by keeping it chilled. That's out of the question. I'm not running this trial fairly at all. There are no refrigeration devices in that part of London large enough to accommodate a human corpse. My lord, this is more than just conjecture. There's evidence to support the idea. We must investigate it thoroughly. Very well. If this updated report is deemed to be accurate, it would give renewed significance to the movements of the victim on the day before the Fresno Street incident. It's conceivable that he was killed in the course of his secret activities. Do I sense that the prosecution has some information regarding those activities? Scotland Yard put an enormous effort into investigating that yesterday. I think we should begin by presenting the results of that investigation work. The prosecution calls... Who does the prosecution call? Lestrade. very troubling. All right, what did they find? All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. But a search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealing that day. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. What matters most is there's witnesses that saw the Reaper at the place too. Smuggled goods? Tobacco, tea, spices, medicines, goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's been suggested that high-ranking government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of his investigations being leaked to the involved parties. That explains why he's operating on his own without the Yard's knowledge. Do we know where the dealings were taking place? In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentleman's club. On the day in question, the accused is known to have been there. We haven't heard anything about this. Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question. Barak Van Zeeks was present. Van Zeeks has made no mention of this at all. In short, Lord Van Zeeks had ample opportunity to murder the victim. That's such a goofy sound. A little search for the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. Is that in the court record yet? I don't think it is. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook. Desk drawers had a false bottom. That won't be necessary. The prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings. That's sketchy. Give the name, dang it. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. Oh. How do you like that, Strongheart? The smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. Do I have anything to prove this? Should I open it if I'm out of options? When the time is right. I want to know too. What if that has all the answers in it? The Grouse. I don't think that tells me anything. I think we just keep going. Detectives who visited the club yesterday make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. None have been identified. The all-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club. Van Zeeks told us that he was investigating Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zeeks could have been lying to us, do you? That's not the only way to explain this. If everything Van Zeek's told us is true, then there must be a mistake in his testimony somewhere. A clue that even Gina hasn't noticed. So we already examined this yesterday, but I don't know if it's going to give me something new. Removed from the scene. Steamship ticket. The SS Grouse. What are the odds? One thong that annoyed me about episode 5 was I had to re-examine the evidence. Yes, that's true. I don't like that about this game. I don't like it because you have to know the exact timing of when to look at the thing. So even if you have the idea to look at it, you get penalized for not doing it at the right moment. Seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think? I mean, I get why they do it, because they don't want you to find all the secrets of the trial until the appropriate time, but it's still frustrating. Okay, so we're going to present that. That's not a club. That's a ship. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean? The place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on 31st October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. Although he seems like the type to go there. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If they want to go to the gentleman's club, we let them. A steamship. You think it's a ship. I have the evidence to prove it. Let me see that. The other side, my lord. This would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship. Whoa. I'm afraid to say there's a flaw in your logic there. Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on 1st November. In other words, on the day in question here, when the victim was on his clandestine mission, that ship hadn't docked on British shores. The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the grouse. Show your evidence. Counsel for the defense, present your evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the grouse. I mean, it's probably this. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the grouse arrived at Dover, it docked on the northern coast of France for a night. According to my father, who was on board at the port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? Ha, 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 ha. He's doing the Mo turnabout big top. You knew about the passport? Concealing evidence? On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, prosecutor? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord, not for scum like you. Which is why it's my duty to present all the facts, without exception. Let me guess, this was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. Order? What on earth are you saying, Counsel? Prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So you're saying the mission he was undertaking was an assassination. Van Zieks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast-iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. And you claim that was Gregson? Gina's not going to take well to this case, is she? It all makes perfect sense. There's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zieks. Even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Do you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, Counsel? It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard the steamship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm certain we would have heard about it. You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson did board the Grouse that night with the intention of dispatching his mark, but his mission ended in failure. It seems the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Lestrade. The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey. There's no question that Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you've spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumors. Then testify again. The witness will give a new formal testimony. The notebook contained the name of the final mark and the location where the assassination would take place. That information is only known if he was working with the Reaper. So who was to be this final mark? Read the name for the court. Reading's still not her strong suit. It ain't English. It's hard to read. Says Shiro. Jigoku. But that's Judge Jigoku. But that can't be right. I know Judge Jigoku, and I saw him the day before yesterday here in London. I know for a fact that that man hasn't been assassinated. As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and return to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake, so he killed the inspector. Personally. Oh, he found some... Oh! He found some wine. And remembered how to put his foot on the desk. I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. That girl is no detective. Well, he's not wrong about that. It's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you clearly planned. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself by attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. That's a big horse. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Cheers. Don't raise your glass in my direction. If I may. The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization. With you at its head? He just ignores it. I had spies at the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I'd been able to check the most recent entry in his book. I knew the location. Believing it to be a reference to the Gentleman's Club, I went there on the day in question to investigate alone. But of course the inspector was not there. He knew about the trunk. Beside the victims' names, this other name kept cropping up. Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan. He investigated the marks thoroughly. But the person actually executing his plans was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. Nice passport, by the way. Permission for the applicant +1 of their choosing to travel. Lord Strongheart was Judge Jigoku's mentor. In the aftermath of the Professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. Mystery why such a man would be listed in the notebook. Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd, killing those who have been found innocent? Do it for the boss. That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. Wow. Be nice to Gina. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card. There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. There's one thing that defies explanation. There's an inconsistency in something that was said by... I don't know. By Maria Gori. They just put the entire game's cast in this list here. Oh, the history doesn't go back far enough. By you, Kazuma Asogi. Asogi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you'll realize what you've done. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency in something Asogi has said? See, now I'm just bluffing. I'm all about the bluff. Oh, he shouldn't have known about the trunk, I think. I did it! What's this? A bloodstain. That suggests the victim was traveling with that luggage when he was killed. That can't be. There was no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report. Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with the trunk. Nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody who was present when the victim was killed. Things aren't looking good for you, are they, Kazuma? How did you know about the trunk? And more importantly, how did you know about the junk in the trunk? At the port of Dunkirk on board the SS Grouse. If Kazuma was on the ship, then it can only have been for one purpose. The only thing that really talks in the courtroom is hard evidence. Inspector Gregson always took that case then when he traveled. So as it stands, you've proved nothing. He was there with Gregson? I'll have to verify it. That means I have to examine the evidence again. The accusation being made is deeply disturbing, but nevertheless, we must test it. Oh, we're going to the examination screen. Okay, all right. Have you seen this huge gash? Let's have a look inside. Wow, do you see that? There's something stuck in the side of the trunk there that I saw 3 times before, but I guess now's the time to talk about it. It's glinting. Oh, I have to push X to present? Okay, wait. X to present. Kazuma, slung around your waist as ever today is the esteemed blade Karuma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it? For all to see? That man is the son of London's most notorious killer. Don't give him any ideas. Oh no! The tip is broken. If the fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword, the game is over. Do you mean to tell the court, Asogi? Yes, on 31st October, I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. You're the killer whose name was omitted from this notebook? You were following the Reaper's orders to dispatch Judge Jigoku? Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I accepted the assassination mission, yes, and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk, but I never had any intention of carrying out the plan. Judge Jigoku arrived safely in London the following day. On the 31st, I boarded a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We traveled to Dover, from where we crossed the channel to Dunkirk. Then we boarded the SS Grouse and made for the cabin deck, as indicated in the plan. You went to Jigoku's cabin? Exactly. He wasn't there, though. We decided to wait, but you've already told us you had no intention of going through with it anyway. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life. So I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. Spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning. My signature will be in the register book. It would be simple enough to verify. Gregson was no assassin, so the Mark was spared. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met with the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger. How dare you fail? Wow, that's pretty low tolerance. But if you did nothing as you claim, how did the tip of your sword come to be lodged in the inspector's trunk? I don't need to answer that. The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of a Japanese blade isn't relevant to the case. And accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter. Wow. Because if there's one thing that people do when they're innocent, it's exercise their right to silence. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence. He hasn't been seen since yesterday. The question of his safety should arise. You think Jigoku may have been killed? We'll take an emergency recess. We will have to assume the worst. If we're unable to confirm Jigoku's healthy existence in the next 30 minutes, you will face grave difficulties. Well, that's not fair to me. I didn't do anything. So what, we just sit here now? Kazuma won the battle back. Kazuma isn't in the habit of making up stories. We might only have 30 minutes left. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's anything we can do, but wait. Maybe we can pull open the doll. One last ear. The last ear. Now is the time. Pull. Mr. Sholmes, here, my dear fellow, here. It's a cell phone? Ow. What is going on right now? Where are you? Myself and my trusty partner are on board the Grouse. She left Dover last night after the final pieces of cargo were loaded. We are currently docked at Dunkirk. I like how we're just accepting the fact that we're talking through, like, what appear to be some sort of plushies. We are currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. You've taken a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station and by train to the port in order to board the vessel in time. And we invented telephones. So you mean you'd already worked it out? The steamship was where everything really took place. Herlock Sholmes. It was I who made the connection to the Grouse. I wonder if that means we're going to play as Mikotoba now. It's Iris's invention, not mine. There you go. While I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes, we have but half that now before the Grouse puts to sea again. That is a complicated sentence. We have but half that now before the Grouse puts to sea again. I mean, You might as well just shuffle all the words in the sentence at this point. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long. There are times, Mikotoba, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So let's begin. Hey, it's our old friend. That crewman standing in front of the door is an angry-looking fellow. Isn't this our old friend? Shouldn't he recognize us? Sholmes is written on his arm. A devoted follower. A tattoo that says Sholmes? Elementary, my dear Mikotoba. Yeah, the guy's name's Chicken. Seshiro's realized that we're after him, has he? Maybe we'll let the mouse inside. Be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Curses, the plan is ruined. I need to distract that sailor for 5 seconds. The whole crew would know about it. Set it off. What are you doing? If we were at sea, that would be a very bad problem. We're going in. You can't explain that. It would appear the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. Those clothes on the floor there, they're Seshiro's without question. We're a little too late. Makes this all the more thrilling. Could something have happened in here that was for no one else's ears, do you think? Could be to prevent snakes from entering. I understood that reference. You suddenly trailed off. Ice. And it's not even melted. An electrically refrigerated cold room? There's our electric fridge. We did it. Okay, well, that seems to be the key to the case. A notice from 3 days ago. Evacuation drill notice. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members will something. Will evacuate, probably. Seshiro has a large trunk. Seven-digit combination lock. Uh-oh, time's up. Poor innocent chicken. There is something that must be done. We must play the deduction game one more time. The debunking of your deceit and the bearing of the truth. I see through your lies, chicken. Jigoku has not yet left this vessel at all. You know exactly where he is. Take that, chicken. It's really been too long, hasn't it, old friend? Yes! One more time. You're under the spotlight. No games now. Ooh! Ooh! Stroganov, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jigoku left the ship some 2 hours ago. Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. There is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. Ah. Yes, of course. I see you've noted it too, Mikotoba. Then please, do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked 2 hours ago? Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observational skills, Mikotoba. It's been 3,000 years. All the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. Glass containing ice. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Mikotoba with the unexpected tap dancing. How curious the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. Everybody's dancing in the chat. It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With this well-chilled glass in hand. One might even conclude that somebody informed him of our boarding. But why would Seshiro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan? That's right. I was in the cabin next door. There are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Jigoku had to hide. This is news to you, is it? There are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure won't have escaped your notice. That's the key to this. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. I never thought I would do this dance of deduction with you again, Mikotoba. No, quite, but life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Especially Survivor 41. Now then, let's see if I can't uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. I'm gonna go with rules of passage. Dude, the tap dancing. So I wonder, I'm kind of curious, you know, the whole point of the dancing minigame up until this point was Holmes is an idiot and Naruhodo corrects him. And I wonder if it's just like alluding to the idea that this is how my brain is interpreting it. Like Naruhodo wasn't his actual partner in crime, so like something was just off, you know. It's like when you and your like best friend do something together and you're on the same like wavelength the whole time, and then you try to do the same thing with somebody else and it's not like quite there. That's how I'm interpreting it. I like it. All of a sudden, like, Holmes is a genius. So I'm sure you've already concluded that frame was originally over here. When did frame move? Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganoff? I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. Or Holmes tanked on purpose to get him to learn deduction. That's a good thought, too. Maybe it's a bit of both. Uh-oh. That looks like a bullet hole. I have the distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant. I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I try to protect an Eastern stranger? So we're talking about the same man, I see. Good. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time. Aren't you? Is there some noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man? You've been told to keep up this pretense as clearly shown by... I don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. Let's take a look at him from all sides. Definitely the booty. Ah, wad of banknotes. That's where I keep my wad of banknotes. Right there up against the butt cheek. It's almost too obvious for words. Look at that booty. The universal language of the world. Booty. And I'd wager that the Eastern fellow in question is Seshiro Jigoku, yes? So I presume you realize what this means? There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin. And the way you're going, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. I believe you know where Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. As always, Makoto, but in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Let's follow his gaze. Wow, it's almost like he's hiding in the large trunk. He turned immediately to look at this large trunk, as most people would. The truth is, Seshiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time, and is, at this very moment, doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running low on air. It would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? Are you forgetting about the combination lock? The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk, therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the code. And you're the only one. Are you telling me that Sholmes is not actually Sherlock Holmes, but it's somehow miraculously a number? What are the odds? Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? Wow. I actually... There's a gameplay element in my VN? What is this? Sholmes. S. H. H doesn't look like a number. O. L. M. E. S. M and E are looking pretty similar. Oh, maybe it's upside down. Okay, wait. Maybe it's... can you time out whoever is posting the answers in chat, please? Five, 2, 3, 1, 0, 4, 5. That looks good to me. Click. You had to meddle, didn't you? Well, Eugen, you found me now. You're not entirely unsurprised. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. Your old friend and traveling companion. Who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour. You know it all by now. 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper 10 years ago now. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. When we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. I really ought to have confided in you. First-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. I don't care for your opinion. cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket. You already purchased your return ticket before we even docked in Dover? To conceal the evidence? I have nothing to say to you. I can't believe both judges are up to no good. What is with our justice system? In a mere 5 minutes, this ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. Uh-oh. Extraterritorial rights. Uh-oh. Maybe not. We have this. What is it? It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. Oh, snap. Getting subpoenaed. Although, if this game was based in America, that wouldn't matter. Because apparently you can just skip your subpoenas. And no one cares. But anyway, it matters here. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be. You came prepared then, Eugen. Come on, let's go. One moment. Inside Jigoku's trunk, there was a lot of junk. I found this rather fascinating trinket. I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something. I have no idea. He genuinely doesn't know. The rest will be on the shoulders of you and your assistant. That was a cool intermediate section. Almost like we were in the earlier games if we were Dick Gumshoe at one of the scenes. Like actually getting to play that section out. That was pretty cool. And we're back. You know more than you're saying. All possible efforts were expended, but sadly, Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict. No, this trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man. Oh, okay. I thought that was just going to be the sentence. You're a Japanese man. You should know when to lay down your sword. I don't have a sword, Kaiba. My grandfather's deck has no pathetic swords. And you should know never to presume when the battle is won. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony, and there can only be one conclusion: that the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it. There's still a crucial witness from whom the court is yet to hear a single word. In that case, call your witness. I'm going to call Jigoku to the stand. Tomorrow, if possible. The witness is already on his way and scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Who on earth is this crucial witness? Seshiro Jigoku, the man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. You found him? But the investigations of every policing resource in the capital suggest that Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find the man? He was located in France during the recess at the port of Dunkirk. thanks to one of Mr. Herlock Sholmes' famous deductions. Herlock Sholmes. Gregson almost certainly met with Jigoku on the night of his death, because along with Prosecutor Asogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Seshiro Jigoku is the sole witness who can clarify exactly what happened aboard the Grouse on the 31st October. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication at this point, although I probably could do it because I'm a total jerk. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. To be continued.